With free agency right around the corner, the Detroit Lions are going to need to get busy if they want to follow up last season's insane performance with this year's, because if they want to become Super Bowl favorites, which they already are contenders, but if they want to be favorites, they're going to need to add some guys this year, whether it's in the draft or free agency. Today, I've got 10 guys I think that they should go after, at least one of them, and try and get. Because we all know we need a cornerback, an edge, interior defensive line, and some O-linemen. So let's go ahead. Let's go through 10 guys I think the Lions need to go after and try and get at least one of. And we're going to start with free agent target number 1. And that is Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm sure most of you have probably heard of this guy. If you haven't, it's not the Josh Allen that you're probably thinking of. It's not the quarterback from the Bills. He's an edge rusher from the Jaguars who had 17 and a half sacks. I think PFF said like 19, which it depends on the website you look at. I think ESPN had him at 17 and a half. But this guy was third in the NFL in pressures and sacks. He had a ton of sacks. Like I said, 17 and a half sacks, 94 pressures. And is he the most realistic guy that we could get? Maybe not. He's probably going to command the most out of, all the edge rushers, which, again, we have a ton of cap space. We freed up some more with, Tracy Walker. He left. He took up, $5 or $6 million. We're going to miss Tracy because he's a great depth piece. But, it freed up some more cap space for us, right? And like I said, we're going to miss Tracy because he was great and everyone in Detroit loved him. He was good. But it frees up more cap space for us to go out and get someone. This guy's probably going to command close to $20 million a year. I mean, I don't really know how much edge rushers go for nowadays, but he's one of the 5 best in the league, and he's just gotten better and better over every year. And he would be insane to pair up alongside Aiden Hutchinson. I would love if we got Josh Allen. Into free agent target number 2, we have Jaylen Johnson from the Chicago Bears. This is a guy who I've been really wanting to go after, but again, he's going to command a ton of money. And honestly, I think that if the Lions were to get this guy, I automatically think it would be a Super Bowl for us because the cornerback spot, Cam Sutton, as much as people like to hate on him, he's not a bad corner, right? He's maybe not a cornerback 1 on most teams. He can play it for you, but he's not going to be able to guard the top 5 to 10 receivers in the league. And, especially when he's injured, and people don't understand that because there's really only 5 to 10 corners. There's at least 5 to 10 corners in this league that can guard Mike Evans, Puka Nacua, CeeDee Lamb, and Jaylen Johnson is one of those guys. This guy can lock down any receiver that you want. He had 4 interceptions as well. He's just a good all-around corner. And to me, he's a top 3 corner in the league this past year at least. He had a better year than Sauce Gardner, and that's, Sauce Gardner didn't have the best year this year, but in all corners, he was easily in the top 3. He was one of the guys that, as a Detroit Lions fan, we saw it firsthand. He almost had a pick 6 against us, a 100-yard pick 6. The first matchup, second matchup, he picked off Jared Goff to basically kind of just have all the momentum going for the Bears. Big momentum changer, and I just think that this dude is exactly what we need. If we could pay this guy, I 100% think this is Super Bowl or bust because we have everything it takes this year. Let's get into free agent target number 3 where we have Brian Burns, and this is a guy who I think is a little bit more of a realistic option that we could get. I would absolutely love this guy. He didn't have insane stats or anything, but he did have 8 sacks, which is out of our defensive line more than our entire defensive line combined outside of Aiden Hutchinson. I think Ali McNeil probably too, because outside of those 2 that I just named, Aiden Hutchinson and Ali McNeil, they had combined 19 sacks or something like that, if you include the playoffs. Outside of that, there was really no one. I mean, you had Julian Okoro with the occasional. Josh Pascal kind of started to come on a little bit, and I like what I see from him. I think he's going to be a great number 3. But if James Houston does leave this year, which there's a good chance that does happen if we don't want to pay him, Brian Burns would be a guy that I think would come in and be Hutch's sidekick, and he's a top 10 edge rusher in the league. I 100% think that this dude could be the guy alongside Hutch that takes this defense to the next level. He can get pressures, and honestly, again, he's on the Carolina Panthers. He doesn't really have much help, and I think that he didn't have the best year, but at the same time, he's going to be a great number 2, and we don't have to pay him as much. I think he'd be perfect. Into free agent target number 4, we have L'Jarius Sneed from the Kansas City Chiefs, who is coming off of a really good year. He might not be the best guy we could go out and get, but again, he's not going to command as much as guys like Jaylen Johnson would, and he's still decently young. I forget his age, honestly. I think he's 28, but he had a pretty good year with the Chiefs, right? He was their main guy. Trent McDuffie was usually in the slot. This guy was usually on guys like, DK Metcalf and he did pretty well. He actually locked down A.J. Brown, which top 5 receiver in the league, and to me that's impressive because we don't have anyone that could stop A.J. Brown. Cam Sutton, he can guard. He's good against any wide receiver, really. He locked down, Devontae pretty well. I mean, sure, Jimmy G, was under pressure the entire game, but I think that having a guy like this would be perfect because he's not going to command a ton of money. Obviously, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be he's probably going to be one of the 3 or 4 highest paid cornerbacks in this year's free agency. But I still think that he's not going to command as much as guys like Jaylen Johnson or like a Josh Allen. So I think getting this guy would help ensure our defense. He'd be number 1 for us. Sure, he's not perfect. He's going to give a couple plays here and there. But he's a lockdown guy. And he's also a great tackler, and he's very hard hitting and a great player overall. Free agent target number 5 is Denil Hunter, another guy who maybe isn't super realistic. I think we could still get him, but again, he's going to command a lot of money. And how much of that money are we going to use to re-sign guys like C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who we need back? Badly, a leader, focal point in the defense, and just an insane player, great shit talker that backs it up on the field, and just a great overall player. And he loves the city of Detroit as well. He's just a dog, right? Denil Hunter would come in and completely make this team a Super Bowl favorite. Imagine having a dude who had 17. I know PFF said 19 or 18 or whatever. This ESPN had 16.5 sacks with 86 pressures on the season, which I think was 4th or 3rd in the league for pressures. I forget. I think it was 4th in the league. It was right there with Aiden Hutchinson. That would be an insane duo. How would you be able to stop Aleem McNeil, Denil Hunter, Aiden Hutchinson, and then if you get a guy like Tavondre Sweat in the 1st or 2nd round, if you can get him there, you would not be able to stop this defensive line, and you wouldn't even have to worry about your secondary that much because they wouldn't even have time to throw the ball down the field. As long as Cam Sutton and whoever else we have stays with their guy for 3 seconds, that's all we got to worry about because our D-line would be so good. I would absolutely love if we got Denil Hunter. I think that would immediately make me feel like, yeah, this team is going to win it all this year, even though I already think they will with the team that they have, honestly, to be honest. But I think Denil Hunter would absolutely be a huge guy that could come in and make this team even better than what they already are. Moving into free agent target number 6, we have Justin Matabuki from the Ravens. Sorry if I mispronounced his name. If I did, let me know in the comments because for whatever reason, I just can't figure it out. But I think I might have said it right. But this is an interior defensive lineman who had 14 sacks, according to PFF. But on ESPN, he had 13 sacks, 65 pressures. Again, this is an interior defensive lineman, guys. He's going to command a lot of money, right? He's probably the best interior defensive tackle in the NFL right now. He's up there with Chris Jones, Quentin Williams. This dude was a monster for the Ravens. Like I said, 13 sacks is ridiculous for an interior guy. And if you want to have another guy on the inside that can help out Hutch, take up most of the double teams, free up space for guys like Hutch, Houston, Kaminsky, whoever that we want going after guys like this dude right here would be amazing. I would absolutely love this guy, but again, he's going to command a lot of money. We could always get a guy in the draft. We could always get a cheaper guy, but if you're serious about contending this year, you go in and get this guy. This guy's probably just as good as getting a Denil Hunter or a Josh Allen, Brian Burns, because he's coming up the inside. You're not going to be able to stop that. He's, over 300 pounds, and he can, chase down quarterbacks, and he can stop the run. He's just a good all-around player, and like I said, would immediately make this team 10 times better than what they already are on the defensive line because they need a little bit of help, and he would be a dog. Free agent target number 7, we have Kendall Fuller from the Washington Commanders. This guy would be, if we were going to get a free agent corner, this is probably the guy that not only I'd probably want, but I think that we'd probably get. I think that Kendall Fuller would immediately become probably our cornerback 1. Now, a lot of people say that he's just a cornerback 2. Yeah, I mean, is he that much better than Cam Sutton? He definitely, I think he is a little bit, when it comes to coverage. I think Sutton's a pretty good, tackler. I watch Sutton play. He's great at blowing up screen passes, and he's a good run stopper. I like what Sutton does. Sutton's a very good cornerback. This guy's more of the coverage guy downfield, can get pick sixes, gets interceptions, and he's good. He's a great cornerback, and I think he would probably be our cornerback 1 for, at least a season or 2. Maybe you get a rookie, comes in, develops into one, but he is an upgrade from Sutton and Vildor 100%. I mean, he would 100% be an upgrade from any cornerback we have in our team. I mean, especially, like Kendall Fuller is our cornerback 2 right now. And I like Vildor as our cornerback 3 or 4 because he's actually not bad. I liked what I saw from him. But this guy would immediately, like him and Sutton, I would feel a lot more confident about. And that's a secondary that can go out and win a Super Bowl, especially if you have a good D-line. And this guy's not going to command that much. I would absolutely take this guy in a heartbeat. Again, he's not going to be the Jaylen Johnson, L'Jarius Sneed level guy, but he's going to be like nearly just as good. He's going to be close to as good as them. Top 10 to 15 corner in the league, arguably. He's good. He was on a bad Commanders team with a bad secondary, bad coach. And he's not going to command a ton of money. And he's coming off of a really good year. And he's still getting better. I would take this guy in a heartbeat, and I think that he's very good. And I would love to get him. Free agent target number 8, we have Christian Wilkins from the Miami Dolphins. If you don't know this guy, one of the funniest guys probably in the entire league. Like him and Jamal Williams are like the 2 funniest guys. But Christian Wilkins, he's a guy who, I feel like the Dolphins would want to re-sign. Are they going to be able to re-sign him? I don't know. Because he's a monster. He's good. I think he just came off of his rookie contract. I think he got drafted in 2019. I'm not for sure on that, though. But looking at Christian Wilkins, another interior guy kind of coming up the middle, but he had a pretty good year. He had, I think on PFF it said 10 sacks. ESPN had him at 9. And he honestly was one of the better interior guys in the league, right? He's probably top 5 to 10 easily. I'd probably put him in the top 5, but this is a guy who we could get not as expensive as a guy like the Ravens guy, and not as expensive as a guy like Chris Jones, because we don't want to pay that kind of money for a guy, but we also want a guy that's going to come in and make a difference, right? So I think getting this guy 100% would make this defense better. Pairing him alongside Liam McNeil would be amazing. He's a good run stopper as well, and he gets pressure on the quarterback left and right. He would be a dog to have, and I'd love him. Free agent target number 9 is Bryce Huff. This is a guy that I'm not as familiar with, but the more I watch him and look at him, the more I think, yeah, this is a guy who I would take on the Detroit Lions. Kind of like Brian Burns, like another really realistic guy that we could use some of that cap space towards, because, like I said, we have the 7th most cap space in the NFL. We're going to probably use a lot of it to re-sign some guys because we need to re-sign. We need to keep close to the same team we have. This guy would be an upgrade at the edge spot, right? He would be Hutch's sidekick. Coming off the best year of his career. He's gotten better. Kind of his breakout year. 10 sacks. He also had a lot of pressures. I forget. I didn't write down how many pressures. I couldn't find how many, but I know he had probably like 50 or plus pressures. I think like 52 or something like that at least. This is a guy who would come in and, like I said, upgrade this defensive line. And you put this guy alongside Hutch, I mean, it's just going to free up more space for Hutch. It's going to make this guy, free up more space for him as well, because you get him and Hutch alongside each other along with Lee McNeil at the middle. And like I said, you get a Tavondre Sweat kind of guy or someone else in the draft coming up the middle as well. That would be an insane D-line that you would not be able to stop. I would take this guy in a heartbeat. Wouldn't command as much money as some of the other guys out there, and I think would immediately upgrade this defense, make us Super Bowl favorites. I would take Bryce Huff all day. And our final free agent target is Stefon Gilmore. And he might not be the most popular choice among Detroit Lions fans, but I think that this is a dude who, with the experience he has, the leadership skills that he has, and the fact that his brother is on a team, I think that this guy could come in and help develop some of those younger guys that would easily, like we get a rookie this year, and you have, Stephen Gilmore, and even Cam Sutton could use a few tips, for downfield coverage, because this guy is probably going to be a Hall of Fame cornerback. And I know he's up there in age, but he is coming off of a Pro Bowl year. He's still good, and he would still be an upgrade in our secondary, and he wouldn't command a ton. I don't think he'd command as much. He'd probably command about as much as Kendall Fuller. So for the experience and leadership that he has, as well as the skill set to come in and be able to, help lead this defense, I would not be opposed to having this guy, because, and as long as we don't, for the right price, I would take him. He's not my number one target, but I think that 100% he would be an upgrade in our secondary. He would help our secondary out and make us Super Bowl favorites, and would help teach the younger guys a thing or two and upgrade that secondary that we all know needs some work. So I 100% would take Stefon Gilmore for the right price as well. I would definitely take him. That's all I have for today's video. I appreciate every single one of you. If you're still watching, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know who you want the most, why you want them, and how much you would be willing to pay them for, because, price is something that's really important. I'm not 100% sure on some of the prices. Some could go for more or less. But if you were the GM, if you were Brad Holmes, if you were Brad, how much would you pay him, and who would you take, and why would you take him? Thank you guys again for watching. New mock draft video coming out Wednesday. Appreciate every single one of you. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Like I said, let me know in the comments who you want, why you want them, how much you want to pay them for, and peace. Have a good one.